All right, now let's go ahead and do a couple easy methods. We're going to do, we've done the accessors, we've done get age. We need to do toString, we need to do hashcode, we need to do equals and compare to. Equals and compare to are going to be a little bit tricky. So we will do toString and hashcode. All right, and by the way, to get these highlights off of your code, I'm not sure. Hitting escape doesn't work, so what I usually do is I just hit space and then hit backspace. Once you start modifying your code, the highlights disappear. I'm not sure of a better way to do that. If anybody knows, please let me know. Okay, so toString and hashcode. We see that toString returns parentheses, name, birthday, gender, email address, close parentheses. So let's just do a simple toString. We'll put it after all of these exception tests. All right, public void test toString. Then we'll just print assert equals here. And for Fred, we want to print out parentheses, Fred, comma, space. You got to be exact for strings. Okay, there's no room for error here. There are ways to get portions of strings, but we're not going to look at that in this video. Fred, and then Fred's age is what? Or not Fred's age, but Fred's birthday. And that is a great question. I am not sure how birthday prints out. So what I'm going to do here is, before I write this test, I'm going to do a system out print line on Fred. And I want to see specifically how the birthday prints out. All right, but this will show me how everything prints out. So let's go ahead and run this. And let's see, where would this print out? Okay, I think there is an issue here. All right, in a previous video, we had a print person method in this class, and in order to capture standard output, I added this line. Okay, so now I've got to take that away. And I get a bunch of errors wherever that is. It's only in 2 places. So now, hopefully, it will print out to my console when I run this. Okay, so there it is. It prints out as Fred 1980 620 mail fredexample.com. I'm just going to cheat a little bit and copy that. This is not necessarily a good way to do things, to print something out and then just copy the result. But in our case, I mean, we can print it out, we can eyeball it. If it looks right, then we can use it as our expected value. So I'm just going to say assert equals, and then I'm going to print that. That's our expected value. And Fred to string. Now I don't have to print out Fred anymore. That should run and everything should be fine. And it is. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Jane. This time I'm not going to print out Jane. Now that I know what the printout looks like, I should be able to figure out what Jane's printout is going to look like. But I need to know Jane's birthday. 1990, 7/15. Okay, 1990. And it looks like it's going to print out the 0, 7/15, female, Jane at example.com. Jane to string. All right, let's go ahead and run that. We've got 16, we passed 16 of 16 test cases. And we've got a failure. Okay, test to string, we'll just double click on that. So we've got a failure here. We've got Jane printing out incorrectly. And I can see after scanning this that I missed that last parenthesis mark. However, I mean, I can always look here. I can always look down here and see what was expected. So what was expected was, and it's got this little ... and it's got the email address, jane@example.com, with nothing after it. But in fact, it was ... and then jane@example.com with parentheses after it. And I know the parentheses is correct. So I don't have to just rely on scanning this. I can look at the failure error and see exactly what was expected and exactly what was the actual value. So I'm going to add that parenthesis in. And now everything should work. Wonderful. Okay, so let's move along to Hashcode. Public void test hashcode. And hashcodes are just, excuse me, hashcodes are just integers. So you can see that there's a hash code. So if two things are equal, their hash code should be equal. If two things are not equal, hopefully their hash codes should be not equal. All right, in general. So just as a general rule of thumb. So what you want to do, a good way to test the hashcode method, is find two things that are equal and make sure their hash codes are equal. Then find two things that are not equal and make sure their hash codes are not equal. All right. So Fred and Jane are not equal, so we can test that pretty easily. Assert equals. We want our hash codes to be not equal. I'm not even sure if we can do this, but let me try. Fred.hashcode Jane Okay, so we do have an assert not equals method. All right, so these hash codes should not be equal. Let's go ahead and run that. And that's good. So now we need two things that are equal. So I'm just going to create a brand new Fred. And I'm going to call it Fred2. All right, and I'm going to go grab that from the setup method here. Copy that. And I don't need it in all of these tests, so I'm just going to put it right down here inside the method. So I don't want to override Fred. I'm going to make this Fred2. And why is that a problem? Oh, that's a problem because I have not declared Fred2 as a person. There you are, Fred2. So now I'm going to assert equals Fred hashcode and Fred2 hashcode. All right, and then I'm going to run that test. And everything works out fine. Okay, fantastic. And that is really all we need to do for Hashcode.